Hare Krishna. We continue reading from teachings of Queen Kunti. These are the prayers by Kunti Devi. We are on prayer number 10. We have been reading the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This prayer is in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.8.27, and I'll just read the translation. My obeisances are unto you, who are the property of the materially impoverished. You have nothing to do with the actions and reactions of the material modes of nature. You are self-satisfied, and therefore you are the most gentle and are master of the monists. So this is Kunti Maharani's prayer, and we continue reading with Prabhupada's purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no direct connection with material activities. All his acts and deeds, which are exhibited even in this material world, are spiritual and without affection for the modes of material nature. I'll just read this again. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no direct connection with material activities. All his acts and deeds, which are exhibited even in this material world, are spiritual and without affection for the modes of material nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that all his acts, even his appearance and disappearance in and out of the material world, are transcendental. And one who knows this perfectly shall not take his birth again in this material world, but will go back to Godhead. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 that Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha, that one who understands in truth the nature of in tattvataha, not just as a story, but just one who understands the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and disappearance. Means his appearance, disappearance, his activities, his pastimes are transcendental, not material. And Krishna is saying, once one understands it, he's liberated. He's liberated, shall not take his birth again in the material world, but will go back to Godhead. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti. So Arjuna, we just have to try to understand this point, that Krishna, when he comes to the material world, his form is not material. His activities are not material. They are spiritual, transcendental. All his acts, all his deeds, even what we are seeing in the material world, are all transcendental. How do we know that? Krishna himself is saying it in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9. Isn't it text 9? Let me just clarify it, which text it is. One moment, please bear with me. Yeah, text 9. Yeah, he's saying Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So immediate liberation from this material world. Just trying to understand this point. So then the material disease is due to hankering after and lording it over material nature. We are here in this material world. And what are we doing? We want to control this material world. The hankering, now Prabhupada is saying the hankering is due to an interaction of the three modes of nature, and neither the Lord nor the devotees have attachment for such false enjoyment. So why does this hankering come in our heart? It's because we are under this goodness, passion, and ignorance. We are under the clutches of goodness, passion, and ignorance. But the Lord and his pure devotees, they are not. They are not. Why? Because they are enjoying spiritual happiness. They don't want anything to do with this material happiness. Therefore, the Lord and the devotees are called Nivritta Guna Vritti. The perfect Nivritta Guna Vritti is the Supreme Lord, because he never becomes attracted by the modes of material nature, whereas the living beings have such a tendency. So we, the spirit souls, we have a tendency to get attracted to this modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Conditioned life means we are under these modes. Liberated life means we have risen above the modes. But the Supreme Lord, he is never under the modes. Never. So we have a choice, right? Sometimes we are under the modes. So that's why we are called conditioned. And when we rise above the modes, means we are liberated. We are above the modes of nature. We are liberated. So become a liberated living entity. But the Supreme Lord, he is never comes under the modes of nature. Some of them are entrapped by the illusory attraction of material nature. So that is the condition of the living entity. Sometimes we are here, sometimes we are there, but the Lord is always spiritual. His consciousness is never material, is never conditioned by the modes of nature. Why? Because he's the material nature, she is his energy. She is a separated energy. How can she control him? He says it himself, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam, that this Prakriti, who is she? She is my energy, and she's working under my laws. Then he says, Devi Esha Gunamai Mammaya Duratyaya. He says, this divine energy of mine, this material energy is divine. Why? Because she's my energy. And very difficult for everyone to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can very easily cross beyond it. So he's telling us this in the Bhagavad Gita. So because the Lord is the property of the devotees and the devotees are the property of the Lord reciprocally, the devotees are certainly transcendental to the modes of nature. So here the mention is of the pure devotees of the Lord. Pure devotees who are liberated. They're liberated. Why? Because they are already situated in their original platform. Original platform as spirit soul, as part and parcel of Krishna. So they are not under these modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. That is a natural conclusion. Such unalloyed devotees are distinct from the mixed devotees who approach the Lord for mitigation of miseries and poverty, or because of inquisitiveness and speculation. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 4 types of pious people come to me. He says pious people, 4 types of pious people come to me. The one who is in distress, one who wants some wealth, one who is inquisitive, or one who is seeking knowledge. So these 4 types come. So now what is being said? That they still have a desire. So they're still in the material world. This kind of souls are still in the material world because they still have some kind of a desire. But the pure devotees are already liberated because they have already situated in their natural position. So the unalloyed devotees and the Lord are transcendentally attached to one another. For others, the Lord has nothing to reciprocate, and therefore he's called Atmaram, self-satisfied. Self-satisfied as he is the master of all monists who seek to merge into the existence of the Lord. Such monists merge within the personal effulgence of the Lord, called the Brahmajyotir. But the devotees enter into the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, which are never to be misunderstood as material. So the Lord and his devotee, the pure devotee, are already situated in the loving relationship. They're already situated in the natural loving relationship. So, so these devotees, they are entering into the pastimes of the Lord in the spiritual world. They're entering into the pastimes of the Lord in one of those Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual world. And so this is also liberation, and there is another, this is liberation, and there is another kind of liberation which the monists, what is that liberation? To enter into the spiritual sky, into the personal effulgence of the Lord, into the Brahmajyoti. So the Lord, so it depends on our desire. Our desire. How do we want to reciprocate with the Lord? Do we want to reciprocate with the Lord as the light? Then he gives us an opportunity. Then we merge into the Brahman. When we reciprocate with him that he is the Brahman, then we enter the Brahman. But if we reciprocate with him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then we enjoy the pastimes with him. So, and these pastimes are never to be misunderstood as material. The transcendental pastimes between the devotees and the Lord are spiritual. They are not material. So we'll stop here. Are there any questions or comments?
I just wanted to know, could you just once again explain that what this 10th verse is trying to say?
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
Kunti Maharani is saying that you are the property of the materially impoverished. She said in the previous verse that, oh, when someone has the 4 kinds of opulences, then it's very difficult for them to approach you with feeling, right? So then she's saying that, okay, so if someone is not dependent on anything, materially impoverished means not necessarily we really don't have any material opulence, but materially impoverished means also not associating ourselves with those material things, not thinking that they belong to me. Like Sanatan Goswami, Prabhupada gave that example, he had the touchstone, but he knew that this touchstone does not belong to me, it belongs to Krishna. So when a living entity has achieved that state of consciousness, then Krishna is his, because he's already realized his situation, his relationship with Krishna. He's not on the material platform anymore. He's on the spiritual platform. So, and then he and Krishna are having a loving reciprocation, full of love. And Prabhupada is saying that this loving reciprocation is not material. It is spiritual. It's never to be understood as material. Here we just read it. That they are never to be misunderstood as material. They are spiritual. And then Kunti Maharani is also saying that, my dear Lord, you have nothing to do with these laws of karma. You have nothing to do with Rajogun, Tamogun, Sattvagun. No, you have nothing to do. Why? Because she is your energy. You are her master. You never come into the illusion of Maya. You're always the Supreme Lord. It's only the living entities who are coming into the Supreme Lord. And then you are Atmaram, self-satisfied. So Krishna, therefore you are the most gentle and are the master of the monist. So how do we want to associate with Krishna? Do we want to associate with him as the Brahman? Then he gives us that opportunity to associate with him as the Brahman. Because he's Atmaram, he's self-satisfied. He does not need anything. He does not need anything from anyone. So he's called Atmaram, self-satisfied. And because he's self-satisfied, then if I want to reciprocate with Krishna as the Brahman, it's fine. Then he allows me to come and associate with him as the Brahman, because there's no loving exchange there. There is no reciprocation there. There is no, what do you say? Yeah, there's no exchange, no reciprocation. It is just a platform of Brahman. So if I want to associate with Krishna in that way, yes, he lets me associate with Krishna in that way. So the choice is mine. And the devotees want to have a personal relationship with Krishna, so he lets them enter into the spiritual planets and have loving pastimes with them. And Prabhupada is saying we should never understand these pastimes to be material. They are spiritual. Is that okay? Is that make
Yes.
more, is it more
Yeah.
clear?
Yeah. It's more clear. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. So he's Krishna, because many people think that Krishna comes under Maya or Krishna is under the modes. No, he's never, never under the modes, never under the modes. And one who has already established his relationship with him, then Krishna is his. You are the property of the materially impoverished. Means somebody who's realized, I'm not the body. I have nothing to do with this material world. I am Krishna's. So when somebody understands, yes, I'm Krishna's, then Krishna is also his. Krishna becomes his property. Because it's like a loving relationship. Now, what does it mean Krishna is his property? Not that he's going to go around abusing Krishna, misusing Krishna. No, there's a loving reciprocation. Like we see loving reciprocation between mother and child or husband and wife, like that. And then Prabhupada is saying we should not think of these loving reciprocations with Krishna same as we are having loving reciprocations with our relatives here in the material world. Our reciprocations here in the material world are material. Our relationships in the material world are based on the body. So they are material. Relationship between father, son, relationship between lovers, relationship between husband, wife, friend to friend. In this material world, these relationships are material. But in the spiritual world, the relationships with Krishna, they are spiritual, not material. They are on the absolute platform. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you. Kunti Maharani ki jai, Shila Prabhupada ki jai,
Jai.
Gaura Bhaktavinda ki jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining in and listening in today.